Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and thanks so much for tuning in. With the popularity of small jig heads, everything from Ned rigging all the way up to Dimiki rigging, light line and finesse tactics are definitely catching more fish now than ever. So today I'm going to show you some of my favorite jig heads, where, when, and how to use them, including some awesome underwater footage. Let's get to it. There are two types of jig heads that I use when Ned rigging. One is for smaller baits, anything 3.5 inches and under, and the other one is for larger baits, say 4 inches or a little bit bigger than that. Now for the smaller baits, I use a new jig head from Lure Parts Online that's called the Ned Head. Now it features a super strong 604 Gamakatsu hook and what we call micro barb technology. What micro barb technology is 8 points of contact on the collar of the jig head, and all those points point in different directions. So when you slide your trailer up on there, it's going to be a lot more secure. It's going to hold in place better, which means you're going to get to fish it more and change trailers less. Let's rig it. My favorite bait on the Ned Head is a 3.5 Big D darter, and this is in, again, my favorite color. This is called Green Pumpkin Magic. It's just green pumpkin with a little bit of gold glitter on here. So all we're going to do is we're going to take the bait and slide it right up on the hook like so, and then when I get right to the collar, I'm just going to push straight down on it just like that. You can see that rigs it perfectly, and that's exactly what I want. That 604 Gamakatsu hook is in a perfect position for that little bait, and now that collar is really going to hold that plastic on there. Once it's there, it doesn't even move. You're going to get a lot more use out of those trailers because you're not going to be changing them as much. Just a great design and my absolute favorite jig head for small baits under 3.5 inches. Now for larger size Ned rig baits, I'm going to use the Jackam Jig, and this is a jig that I actually helped design for Lure Parts Online, and it features a super strong VMC Barbarian hook. Now if you notice, there's a neat angle right here on this hook. This hook is made of vanadium steel, which in my opinion is the best steel that you can build a sharp point on, because vanadium will hold a point longer so it won't roll over as often. And with that unique bend of that Barbarian hook, once you set the hook, I'm never going to tell you that anything is 100% when you set the hook, but this hook right here is the closest I've ever come. Especially on smallmouth bass, it really locks that hook, especially when they're jumping. It's just a phenomenal hook, and I'm glad we were able to add it to this. So let's show you how to rig it on a bigger bait, anything from 4 maybe to 5.25 inches long, and this is how you rig it. Okay, now we're going to use a Jackam Jig, and I'm going to show you how to rig my bait of choice on there. Now this is our Big D darter in the full size 4-inch, and this has been a deadly little bait for me when it comes to Ned rigging. And so here's how we're going to rig that. We're going to actually press the weed guard in on the Jackam Jig, and then I'm going to thread it over that angle right there and just go right down the center of the bait, nothing difficult. Just about like that. Now, that little trick that I always do when we get to the keeper right there is I'm going to turn it towards you, push up, and then turn back, just like so. That locks it in the fresh plastic, and there you go. That Jackam Jig lines up perfectly on that Big D darter, and I've not found a better representation of either a bait fish or in really clear water, a bluegill, than that right there. That Jackam Jig, it jacks them. Now the jig head style that's become really popular lately is a jig head minnow type design that's used for Dimiki rigging or moping or the jig head minnow, whatever you want to call it. It's an extremely popular technique with forward-facing sonar. It also works if you don't have forward-facing sonar. And on this jig head, Lure Parts makes a lot of different ones, but this one is the Elite Scrounger head. That's the one I use the most, and I really like the detail on that jig head. Now I'm going to pair it with our Pinpoint minnow, which is a fantastic little bait on this. So I'm going to show you how to rig it, and then we're going to show you what it looks like underwater. The Elite Scrounger heads comes in sizes 1/8 ounce all the way up to 1/2 ounce, and I'm going to take our little Pinpoint minnow and show you how to rig it. Now the sizes I use the most are usually 1/8 and 3/16, and all I'm going to do is slide the minnow up on there and then do the same thing here. I'm going to turn it forward, and why I do that is just to bite in the fresh plastic and then turn it back, and there you go. Now, it's important to keep that straight on there just like that, and the action back there with the super soft plastic that we've used on this Bass Academy Pinpoint Minnow makes even the slightest movement of your rod tip, gives a lot of subtle action to that trailer or to that tail. It also has a flatter bottom, and what this does is it helps the bait glide on. Because the last jig head I want to cover today is another new one from Lure Parts Online, and this is called our Weed Whipper jig. It has a really detailed head, a nice light weed guard on there, and it also features the micro barb technology. Now, when you're fishing the Dimiki rig around weeds or on weed edges, sometimes those weeds can hang up on the hook. And what I like about the Weed Whipper is that just that little weed guard right there can actually let you get into those weeds a little bit more and rip it out of there without it hanging up quite so much. And it's been a really effective little head when you have sparse cover. Let's show you how to rig it. Okay, we're going to take the little jig head, and I'm going to take the Bass Academy Pinpoint Minnow again. This combination, by the way, is one of my absolute favorites for smallmouth bass with that siren color, that bright chartreuse right there. Very effective triggering smallmouth to strike. So we're just going to take this and push it up right on there, just like so. Now, once you put it past that micro barb technology, look at that. It just rigs it about perfectly every time. That's what it looks like. One deadly, deadly little fish catching machine. And there you have it. Those are some of my most productive jig heads when it comes to light line fishing, and their plastic combinations that we showed you how to rig. Now, for all the Bass Academy plastics, as well as for all those jig heads, you can easily find them at Lure Parts Online. Matter of fact, why don't you use this code right here, YouTube10, and that'll give you 10% off on your first order. Also, make sure you sign up for the newsletter there at Lure Parts Online, because we're always sending out deals and new products and letting you know everything that's going on, so hopefully you can jump a little bit ahead of the fishing game. Now, earlier in this video, I alluded to some of those baits like the Dimiki rig, even with that Weed Whipper jig, and how you can use them without forward-facing sonar. And you can, and they work. So make sure you stay tuned to this channel, as well as my show, Jim Crowley Outdoors, on Wired to Fish TV, because we're going to be doing a couple episodes this year showing you exactly how to use these baits, how to be effective with them, how to catch more and bigger fish without forward-facing sonar. Nothing against forward-facing sonar. Obviously, it's awesome technology, but not everybody has it. But these lures still work. We're going to show you how to do it. So until next time, hope you enjoyed this. Hope you subscribe. Please tell your friends about it. Our goal here is just to give you some great products that will help you enjoy the passion of catching fish even more. All we want you to do is catch more fish and have fun doing it. Until next time, God bless you. I'm Jim Crowley. We'll see you soon.